Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Tuesday, December 3rd, and we are here answering financial questions, trying to help you make better, more informed decisions that have to do with your life and your financial life. All of this is intertwined. We understand that. The we is me, your host, your co-host rather, Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst and certified financial planner. My co-host is Mark Talercio, also a certified financial planner, and also the executive producer and king of all things web at the Jill on Money universe. Hello, Mark. How is your Thanksgiving?
Hello, Jill. The Thanksgiving was well, and into December we roll.
Here we roll, and we just have weeks to go. And we are taking time off at the end of the year, but don't worry, gang. We are going to make sure that you have the content that you are used to. And if you're listening to only this program, this Money Watch show, maybe you should go onto our website, jillonmoney.com, and you can actually find all of our other content. We've got a radio show, and we also have another podcast called Jill on Money. So you can get a lot of us, and maybe more than you'd ever want. But the website is jillonmoney.com. While you're there, you can sign up for the free weekly newsletter. You can buy my book. You can subscribe to Jill on Money Live. There's so much to do on that website. Soon you'll be able to read Mark's new bio and see his picture. I'm very excited for this. Mark, you still have not sent it to me.
Theo's edit. Final edits from Theo are happening as we speak.
Okay. The 5-year-old is editing immediately.
In Chinese.
In Chinese, perfect. And then Mark will translate it into Italian, so it'll all be perfect for everybody. Perfectly understandable. Mark, let's talk to our listener John, who's on the line from Colorado. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good, Jill. Thanks for asking. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. How can we help you today?
Well, Jill, I just got married at the end of September, and I'm trying to decide on how do I put my best foot forward and make the next best financial decision for my wife and I now that we'll be joining finances and starting our marriage.
All right. This is exciting. So do you feel like one or both of you has some acumen in the financial world? Because sometimes what it'll break down to is like, we're going to combine, but, like you're really the person who's better at this, not me.
That's a good question. I think I'm more definitely, I'm the one calling in, obviously, out of the two of us.
Yes.
But I've taken a liking to personal finance. I'm really starting to enjoy it. And so I would say out of the two of us, I'm more so leading the way, but my wife has been really good about being more involved and participating in the conversations, and here's what she wants to do.
Okay.
And, finding a compromise. So I would say,
great.
Yes, it's a good combination of the two of us.
Okay. So John, how old are you?
I'm 26 and my wife is 26 as well.
Okay. And how much do you guys earn?
So combined on an annual basis, if we're excluding our bonuses, it's around $173,000 a year.
Great. That's awesome. You're so young.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And so when you're thinking about your own personal finances, how are you trying to map this out? Are you going to do your own financial plan? Do you want to talk to somebody about that? Like how do you, what do you feel like you want to do first? Should we create a big plan? Should we help you with priorities? Where are you right now?
I think where I am right now is I have a good understanding from listening to your show of what I kind of want in terms of, I know I want to be all Roth while I'm young. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to try to max out certain things while I can, such as my Roth IRA while I'm below that income threshold limit. But I don't know, when can I start to do these additional things that we can talk about now if you want to, or just how do I know, is it age, is it income? At what point do I start to add some complexity or some more sophisticated ways of looking at certain accounts into my life with my wife?
Interesting. So do you guys have any debt, that maybe student loans or anything like that?
Knock on wood, no, Jill. We've been very fortunate. My parents had a 529 account for me, and so that's one of my questions as well. I went to a cheap in-state school where I know that I wouldn't have to take any debt out, and along with my wife. And so I've tried to, and we've tried to live below our means from the beginning of whether it's college, choosing the right one, or, the house we bought. And so we don't have any consumer debt outside of our mortgage.
Okay. Oh, you have a mortgage already. How much is the house worth?
The house is worth $500,000 and the mortgage balance is about $380,000. And I have about a 6% interest rate, 6 flat actually.
Is it fixed rate or is it a variable?
It is. Yes, it's a 30-year fixed. Bought it 2 years ago, two and a half years ago.
And you feel like this is comfortable for you, or you made a big down payment, obviously, and then did the house increase in value a bit?
Not necessarily. Which I'm a little surprised by, but it hasn't gone up too much in value. But you're right. I made a big down payment when we first initially purchased it, but I think the value of the house has kind of remained flat as interest rates are a little higher. Maybe unless they drop, it'll increase, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. And what about your retirement accounts? You said you're maxing out the Roth while you're under the income limit. Do you have retirement accounts through work?
I do, yeah. So I have a Roth 401k, as does my wife. So I have 46 grand in my Roth 401k. My wife has coincidentally 46,000 as well in hers. And then I have a Roth IRA with 70,000. Her Roth IRA has 15,000. I've been maxing out my HSA for the last 2 years, and I try to pay for my medical expenses out of pocket. So I have 10K in my HSA. My wife has 4,000. And then I have a small brokerage account that I started while I was doing my master's program before I was working, and that has 8,000 in it.
Okay, that's great. At this point, cash flow wise, if I'm looking at the big picture, right? And I say, okay, you guys are maxing out your Roth retirement accounts, you're maxing out a Roth IRA, you're putting money in your HSA. What's left over at the end of the month?
And I don't know if I would say it's more like cash management, where I'm like, okay, I want to do all of the investing I can. And then what's ever left, we kind of decide, are we going to spend this? Are we going to save some? And so I know how much we spend on a given month, but sometimes we can put $1,000 into our high yield savings account. Sometimes we're only going to put $300 in, or whatever it may be. Especially with the wedding, it was a little, I think we're spending a little more than we make the month leading up to it.
That never happens at a wedding.
It doesn't. No, you always stick to the cost you think you're going to.
Yeah, it's like your house. It's like a remodel. How much is in your high yield savings account right now?
Right now, including my emergency fund, it's around $40,000 in the high yield savings account.
Is there anything that is, besides the emergency fund, do you need to do anything in the house, or is there any car purchase necessary?
Yes, that's one of the reasons I'm calling Jill, is because my vehicle is older. It's about 14 years old. And while I love the vehicle, I think sooner or later I am going to either need or selfishly want a newer vehicle. And so I'm trying to decide between that, and then my wife wants to go to Europe and go to Italy and Paris. And so there's, the competing need of, sometimes we have, a lot of cash to put in there. Sometimes we don't have much. And so how do I prioritize? Obviously I want my wife to be happy. And then there's me of the vehicle. And so I have those competing desires of Europe and a new car purchase, or a new to me car purchase.
Okay, I got you. Mark, do you have some questions for John as well?
Of the 40 grand in the savings, how much of that do you consider to be your emergency reserve?
I would say my emergency reserve I've tried to have around 4 months would be around $22,000.
So let's call it 30.
Okay. Well, he said 22. Oh, you want
4 months.
More.
Yeah, 4 months.
Not enough. So you have $10,000 in surplus right now, right?
Yes,
okay.
Right.
So that we're not going to be able to buy a new car and go to Europe, Italia and Parigi. What about that brokerage account? What is that invested in?
Well, I have it in Fidelity. I have it in just a Vanguard S&P 500 ETF.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there new money going into that account on an ongoing basis?
I have not contributed to that account for a couple of years now.
Okay. This year, you're going to make $170-something thousand together. You've got, so this will be the first year that you file taxes jointly, right?
Right.
Okay. And so I'm just want to look at this limit here. So this was the year married filing jointly is 230. Okay. So you're still under the Roth IRA limit. So Mark, we need to build up some of their high yield savings accounts so that we can do both things. That's my theory. So how much do we need to go to Europe? Mark, you're my European expert.
Well, my European trip is going to be a little different than theirs.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'd say Mark probably has finer taste.
Yes.
We've been trying
well, I don't know. I'll tell you what his wife does. That's for sure.
We've been trying to think about, realistically, if we're going to go, we do want to have a good time, and we don't want to be worried about, or maybe I don't want to be worried about pinching pennies. And so we've been looking through some certain sites, and it seems like it's going to be $7,000. So we've been thinking about, okay, let's just call it 12, and let's, add a couple of extra $1,000 onto what we think it's going to be and shoot for somewhere around that $12,000 range.
Well, I mean, what's interesting is, they're saving so much money, Mark. Okay, so here's my big question for Mark.
Yeah.
Would you pull back on the amount of money they're spending right now for retirement in order to do these fun things? They're already saving a lot of money. So can't we do something fun for them?
Well, yeah. They're so young. They already have a nice chunk of money saved. They are saving a lot of money. They basically have almost all that money to take a trip to Europe in their excess emergency savings, if that's what they want them to do. The car, it's not like on its last leg, is it?
Right.
It sounds like more of a want than a need,
it's
right?
It's more of a want, exactly, Mark. And so we've talked, my wife and I, we think we're going to put the Europe trip in front of, right? That's the first priority. Then the car would be the second one, because you're right. It's not on its last leg. It runs fine. It's a good brand. And so we do want to do Europe. And so we think that, okay,
do it.
Take that on the
Do
excess.
it.
Okay.
Do it.
Do it.
That'll make my wife happy. I'm sure she'll enjoy listening to this episode.
I know your last name. Where's your family from? What part of Italy?
It just says is southern Italy. There's a town from my last name, so we're assuming it's got to be somewhere around there.
All right. My family too. By the way, our last names are pretty similar, John.
They are. They are, yes.
No one read into that who's in the state of Colorado. Well, I think, John, this is what I think. You guys are making a lot of money. You're socking a lot of money away. It is okay for you to pull your foot off the gas pedal for retirement to fund these things. These are, this is really about short versus long term, right? Short term is important. Again, I don't want there to be a nasty surprise for you about the new car. It could be that oh my God, my car just fritzed out tomorrow. In which case, you have the money, you've got some money in the brokerage account, which you could sell out and pay your capital gains. And, you'd have $18,000 ready. Are you shopping already for a new car?
I'm looking, Jill, just to see if there's any sort of financing deals. I don't know how I feel about a car payment because I've always driven an older vehicle, so I'm fortunate not never have one. But I am assuming that I'm probably going to have to finance something in the next 3 to 4 years, and I'm looking around to just try to get an estimate of what I can see myself driving.
Look, get an estimate, but I think it's okay to pull back a little bit. I think it's good to add some money to the high yield savings to figure that out. And I also think that, I know you're already in love with the 529 idea. However, perhaps we just wait till you actually have a child. Before we do that. Mark, I know they changed the rules. You used to have a social security number. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you don't have to. I know people that have done this. You can open it up in your name, and then once the child is born, you transfer it. I did not do that. And I don't regret that decision.
Yeah. I think that would be great if we could just do that. Anyway, what else can I say to you except that you're in great shape. You're young. You're making a ton of money. And I think that, keep doing what you're doing. And now just in terms of the allocation of labor, I think if you guys start to think about doing a financial plan, you're already doing some of this work already, but just make sure that you and your wife are doing it together and you're walking through the process. The one thing I think it's fine to be an uninvolved taskmaster, meaning okay, you're going to do everything. Your wife's going to be I don't really want to do the day to day, but she has to know the strategy. She has to know where the accounts are. She has to know where the passwords are, that kind of stuff. She absolutely has to know about. And it sounds like you're doing that already.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I know that I want her to be more involved, and she has been in the last, I would say, 4 months of understanding what we're in, where the accounts are, and what we're building for, right? What's the end goal? Because we're putting a ton of money. We're not able to max out our 401ks, but we're putting a ton of money into those accounts. And so why are we doing this? What are we on track for? And that's kind of the things that get her involved and have made it so she was completely uninvolved to now we're definitely doing this as a partnership.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds like you are perfectly aligned in that respect. And so I think great. Don't forget you're married now. It's a financial and emotional and spiritual marriage. Don't forget, you're going to do a little estate planning. Make sure that you are both the beneficiaries of each other's accounts. You don't have a massively complicated situation, but
Right.
did you guys buy the house together or is it in your name?
We did. She is on the title
Okay,
of the home.
great. Perfect. So jointly with rights of survivorship.
Could I ask you
Sure.
another question, Jill?
Yeah.
So when do I start to, once my wife changes her name, I'd like to start shopping some life insurance policies. I was thinking of getting each of us a 25-year just term policy for $1 million each. What's the suggestion on how do I know? Is there a calculation or something I can do?
Well,
to know,
it's going to
okay,
be
I
a
want
weird
this,
calculation for you because you have zero dependents right now. You both
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think
Right.
$1 million would be great. Mark, should they do more? How many kids are we going to have? Do you think? Just
We're
guess.
hoping for 2.
Mark, what do you think? Should he just get $1 million on each of them?
I would play with the numbers. Start, you can do this online. Start with $1 million, see how much it is per month, then just pop in like for the heck of it, $1.5 million. And if it's like a difference of $5, then obviously just pay the extra $5.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I mean, it's so easy to do it and you're young and you're healthy. Now is the time. Do you think you're going to, this is so like in your space. I'm sorry, but do you think you're going to have kids like quickly or do you think it's going to be some time? What do you think?
I think it's going to be a couple years, which is why I think my car purchase is also going to be around that same time where we can, okay, we'll take my older car and upgrade it to more of a family car for
Yes.
when those kids are on the way. And so if I can hold off of keeping that car for as long as I can, then when the kids come, I can, fill that need of getting a new car. Hence the Europe can go in front of that priority.
Yeah,
on our
yeah.
checklist.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Anything else?
I have this, my last question, I promise. For that brokerage account, let's say that I'm able to cash flow Europe and I keep the 8,000 I have in mind. When do I know, Jill, when I should start add to that brokerage account?
What I
Right.
would say is you'd want at least 6 months of your of your expenses in emergency reserves, and
Okay.
you'll have that very quickly, and you'll get
Okay.
your short term needs paid for. Then maxing out your Roth accounts. The
Okay.
next step will be for you guys probably 529 accounts, and then after that it will be brokerage accounts. And
Okay.
that's what I think is going to be the order. But it could all change. Like, I get it, but
Right.
like, let's see how that game plan works for you. How about that?
Okay, that's exactly what I was interested on your take on. So thank you. Okay, that's
Fabulous.
perfect.
All right. I'm excited for you guys. Well, Mark, we have another place to stay around the country. Now we have a nice place in Colorado to hang out with John and his wife. And we're very delighted that you once again shocked and surprised both of us with 26-year-olds making 170 grand a year. This is just incredible. They're amazing, right? So congratulations. Well done. And congratulations on your nuptials, and keep us informed as to what is going on. Now, if you are like John and his wife, but instead of making 173,000, you make 73,000 or 37,000, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the contact us button, send us a note. Check that box if you want to actually come on the program live with us. Don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. Comes out every single Friday. Mark does an incredible job with that. All right. Mark is the co-host and the executive producer of this show, Mark Talercio, and the king of all things web. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. And of course, do something nice for someone else today. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
Paramount Podcasts.